Everybody, thanks for the introduction. Telephony guys meet every Friday on the ZipDX conference bridge and talk about telephony. And so I'm a regular participant there. Some of you may know me from there. Others of you may know me from Alison Smith's Carl on Hold routine. That's me. I'm that Carl. So in any case. Yeah, so you'll have to bear with me. This is my first time doing a presentation ever, so this might be a little rough. Well, actually, I did make a presentation once to my wife about why we need a high-def screen TV, but that doesn't really count, even though it may have prepared me a little bit. What's that? Of course. That's maybe so, yeah. So we're for Chicago Venture Partners. We're a small venture capital fund, far too small for high-flying startups, but we have pretty diverse investments, and I've worn a lot of hats over the years, and basically, I've been, on a sort of low-level coding, Oracle kind of stuff, and now my role pretty much is, as the CTO, is to find and apply new technologies to add value to our core enterprise and to our portfolio companies, which is actually how we got started with Asterisk. We basically had one of our companies had a whole bunch of telephone numbers all over the country, like local exchange numbers, and we had a lot of remote call forwarding accounts. And we actually used to we had all these accounts, and as you might know, they're kind of expensive, maybe $50 a month per channel, per number. And so if you have 40 of those, plus you add to it switched backhaul, at 4 cents a minute or whatever, it was well over $1,000 a month. And so we were looking at a situation where we either had to upgrade our phone system or find some other option. And so we found Asterisk, and so we ported all of our RCFs to Internet Telephony Service Providers, and in doing so, pushed back the need to upgrade our phone system, and actually cut our bill from, like I said, well over 1,000 to less than 100. So that was pretty cool. But this was sort of our basic setup. What was that? Some people would say that our Northstar system is a bit of an old dinosaur of a system, but actually it works quite well as far as the things you normally do with a phone. You push its buttons and you talk on it, but it is quite limited in functionality. So here we have it tied to the telco with the PRI, and we kind of stick Asterisk here in the middle. And what we have done is we've actually made Asterisk pretend to be the phone company for the Northstar PBX, and we have Asterisk pretend to be the Northstar PBX for the phone company. So what's kind of cool is if the Asterisk system actually ever dies, and we were quite worried about that, we don't know how stable this is going to be. We don't know whether or not we're going to do it right, and we want to be able to just like disintermediate it. And we actually have a Rhino SPF card in that Asterisk box, which will bypass itself in the event that it were to ever die. But like I said, this is how we have it set up. And so, let's see, where am I going? So, yeah, so we were kind of blown away with how easy it was to do things with Asterisk. And so we started scratching our heads, wondering, like, what other pain points do we have and how can we solve them? So so one thing that was immediately obvious was we can actually use an Internet telephony service provider for outbound calling in the event that we can't use our PRI. So for example, we lose our PRI and our calls come in from the Northstar switch and are routed over to the ITSP. And this is what's so incredible about this is it's one line of code. It is one line of code. Now, all the things we're doing here are not impossible. They're not things that you couldn't do before, but they're things that become so easy as to make them attainable where they were not attainable before. So years ago, I was speaking with the founder of one of our portfolio companies, and he said, the reason this company exists is because the cost of storage has come down to $1,000 per gigabyte. So we had $6,000 worth of 6 gigabytes in our Oracle database server, and the fact is that you would have sucked all the profit out of the business if you had to spend $4 million to buy an IBM mainframe. So it's not that any of these things are impossible or were not possible before, but like we're talking one line of code. It's incredible. Now the more salient itch for us was inbound calls from the telco, because those are the ones we really care about. You can always pick up your cell phone and make a call, but if you have calls that are trapped at the telco behind a dead PRI, there's not much you can do about it. So we actually chose our telco, which is Access One in Chicago. They're a small CLEC, And we love them because they can do crazy, weird stuff for us that no one else will do. And one of the things they've done is they've set up a one-for-one numbering plan for our PRI in the event that, or one-for-one for the 40 of our most important telephone numbers. And basically what happens is a call comes in, they redirect to an ITSP, call comes in by asterisk and goes into the Northstar system, and no one knows any better. It just, and again, it's so darned easy. We're talking 4 lines of code here. So in this case, we got 40 contiguous numbers from the ITSP. We have 40 contiguous numbers from our LEC, and we basically just match on the last digit so we can represent 40 alternative routes in 4 lines of code. So they basically just comes in by the ITSP and just reroutes to as if it had come in from the PRI. So pretty amazing, actually. So the other pain point we had was, we've had this dinosaur of a PBX for, more than a decade, and it's been incredibly reliable. But every now and then we've lost a station module or a trunk module, and we've been out of service for a day while we try to get, a replacement whatever from Algonquin, and so that's obviously really disruptive. So having Asterisk to the rescue again, this is about, it's like, it feels like serendipity. It's like synergistic, like, oh my gosh, we have this amazing toolkit, and suddenly we can be incredibly nimble where we couldn't before because, again, we've got this toolkit. So what we do is the Northstar system dies, maybe for the whole office, maybe for part of the office. We just hairpin those calls, turn them right around, send them back out to the telco, and of course we can fail over to the Internet Telephony Service Provider if we use up all of our B channels on this PRI. And, boom, we can redirect them out to our mobile phones or wherever we want. So, here's our code, right? Again, so simple. Call comes in via the PRI, goes out to the Northstar switch, just hairpin, just like that. And then the alternate route here is below. You could unrem that, right? Rem out the other one. You can fail over the whole office to your predefined fail-safe routing plan. So, here's me, 7003, that goes to my wireless phone. And here we're lucky enough to have Mr. Fakey Telefonicas working for us, and he has an Iridium phone, right? So, anyway, so the other thing is, what's the most important feature of your phone system? I would say the most important feature of your phone system is that it works, and that trumps any other widget feature you can add to it. And so one of the things that we've known that this Northstar system is a dinosaur for a long time, but it's like we kind of don't want the business disruption. And the cool thing about this Asterisk system is we can get all these functions that don't have to be part of the PBX. And the PBX is essentially nothing more than a system of endpoints. And I might add, an actually pretty cool system of endpoints in the sense that they're bus powered. We don't need $200 a port PoE switches to have high availability. I mean, all the PoE switches that I've ever seen have died in the first or second year. These are the budget ones. If you want to get ones that you're going to actually run a business on, you've got to spend about $200 a port in my research and opinion. So, but these things are bus powered. They use 2 wires. They're indestructible. They're dirt cheap. And everyone knows how to use them already. But we still have this migration path where we can hook up a high definition conference phone directly to Asterisk, bypassing analog and all that stuff. And of course, we can eventually migrate to IP endpoints or whatever. And of course, and we could get rid of the Northstar system. But do we really want to? Because at the end of the day, we can keep it around for whatever we want. I mean, we've got a couple of fax machines, and Northstar system works great. It's a little impromptu channel bank. We don't need to get another span on the Asterisk system and get a channel bank just to get our analog calls. So it's like, I'm thinking that no matter what we do, we'll probably have that thing around for a long time. So anyway, speaking of fax, that reminds me of fax. And it's another synergistic thing that kind of came about. Well, in defense of fax, so I just quickly modified my presentation to match that. In defense of fax, I will say, first of all, give the customer what they want, right? I used to think fax was totally stupid, and then I got inside the workflow of some of our customers. So some of our customers are blood labs, and I see these people in their workstations, and they need to set into order for more widgets. And what are they going to do? Like move their body over to another part of the place and engage with a desktop and a keyboard and a mouse and scan something and then open up the email application and attach it and send it out. And, that is, in my opinion, a more user-hostile experience than a standalone self-service user appliance. And I say the transport is irrelevant, irrespective of whether that uses crappy old analog or synchronous TDM circuits. It is a standalone self-service user appliance, in my opinion, is that's a mature design, and it will come back irrespective of the transport. You might see eventually something like a fax machine that uses IP transport. So the other thing that's cool about fax is it has a very simple, familiar namespace. You know, not everyone over 60 knows that email addresses have exactly one @ and maybe more than one dot. Definitely doesn't have an HTTP and doesn't necessarily need a www in front of an email address. So I'm just saying, like, for everyone in this room, that's obvious, but some 60-year-olds don't know that. Simple, familiar namespace, little or no management overhead. You don't need expensive IT people, and of course, faxes are dirt cheap, and they don't increase the attack surface on your enterprise, so like some hosts do. So basically, our pain point was we had an application server. Whoops, that's Hylafax. We considered Hylafax, but it would have required interface cards, another server, and you know, hey, we already had this Asterisk box. We put a fax for Asterisk module here, and now our Oracle application server that needs to generate reports of various types and send them to various customers can do so via fax for Asterisk. Now, the Oracle application server, it can't do everything, but what it can do is it can do an HTTP post. It can generate a PDF, and so that's what we did. We wrote a little script called sendfax.php. We put it right on the Asterisk server, and the Oracle application server posts to it, opens up an AMI channel. AMI channel sends the fax and gives the Oracle application server a receipt, so it can check up later and see whether or not it got delivered. And that was pretty cool. That was very synergistic. And ironically, we've got another synergy. Joe User, suddenly, he can do the same thing. If he's sitting at his desk and the customer wants a materials safety sheet, and that's on a network drive, and there's not an automated system for sending that out to customers, he can just reach out, grab it, drop it into this little HTML form, this sendfax.html. Boom, he gets a receipt, and he can check up on it later. Again, it's so simple. Obviously, this is stripped down to its bare essentials, but that's the code. Who gets fax from your desk in this many lines of code? We just put a link to this on the corporate wiki. And there it is, right? Put it in the shared bookmarks, and there it is. So again, it's not a showstopper, but it's like it's so easy. Why not add it? So coming back to this confirmation thing, now the Oracle application server, to make sure that fax got delivered, can return with that receipt, post it to fax status, checks on the status, and gives back a confirmation. And the ones that don't get a confirmation can get put in a to-do list. You know, you got to make sure that you get the right fax number from the customer and update that. Same thing, Joe User, he can check on the status of his fax as well. So so there's me over there on extension 703. The way this happens, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to go into a little bit of detail here. This is something that I wish someone had shown to me when I was new to AMI. And basically, what happens is you connect a technology to an extension in context. That originate command happens in the Asterisk Manager interface. When we do faxes, we kind of flip it around a little bit, and what we do is the extension in context actually becomes the phone number, and the outbound dialing context and the technology is actually the local channel. So Asterisk Manager interface connects to a little tiny context in Asterisk, which sends this request down to the fax for Asterisk module. So, and this is the meat of the PHP script. First line there uses GhostScript to convert the PDF into a Group 3 tag image file, and then it opens up an AMI socket. And this is the thing that I was keen to have seen years ago, which is that it literally opens up a socket and it pushes out action : login new line, username, secret, blah blah blah. Down here, it actually sends the fax name itself, the actual document that it needs to get and send out, and you know, who it's going to, etc. And we simply have a manager.conf has a very, very secure localhost only connection to a user called sendfax, and in the outbound dialing context, in the dial plan, we've just got, you know, really 2 lines of code is really all that's happening here. You've got set the caller ID equal to the transmitting station ID, which is actually presented in the actual data header of the fax conversation itself, and then of course it sends it. So simple as that. And again, back to synergy. Now we've got a click to dial. We didn't even want it, but boom, here it is. Now within a couple lines of code, we can have all those customer callbacks be something where you just click and your phone rings, and next thing you know, you're on the phone with a customer. Not only that, but all of our salespeople who are running Salesforce.com, they've got a browser plugin which formulates an HTTP GET, just like that. Or if you don't want to go to that trouble, you can just make a simple bookmarklet that takes your clipboard and sticks it into, using JavaScript. I mean, it's just like, it's so easy, and that's the whole point. That these things were possible before, but this whole fax thing